Yes, we're okay. Yes, now.
In the 1930s, Pirton had a little orchestra. It was the result of Mary Ibbotson, who started the Rural Music School in Hitchin. I can't tell you quite where she was born, I've got to look it up, but she wasn't a local person. And her idea was to take stringed instruments to the villages. Quite a lot of youngsters learnt the piano, but strings were different, and Pirton formed an orchestra. We started off with classes, and then the little orchestra was formed from the classes. We used to meet in the village school in the big classroom, and we had our lesson there. I think we paid sixpence for a lesson, and we bought our instruments by paying so much each week. I think it was possibly a shilling, but it could have been the other way round. I was about 11 or 12 when it started, and there was quite a lot of us. I don't know why we started. Mother just said, "You're going to learn the violin," and that was that. So we learnt the violin, and we had our lesson first, then the orchestra was formed. We had quite a variety of instruments. We had one double bass.
Who played the double bass?
Double bass was played by Harry Race. Now, the Races were not Pirton people. They came to Pirton after the slump in the early 1930s, when there was no employment, or very little, in the northeast or the South Wales, and the Race family came from County Durham, and Mr. Race worked for Delmy Ratcliffe in the woods as a woodman, and he lived in a tied cottage in Bury End. And there was a family of, Harry was the oldest, and there was a girl, Mary, and a boy, Frank, who was about my age, and the youngest girl, Nora. And they lived there, and they were quite a musical family. Harry could play any instrument, stringed instrument, and you could often hear him playing his violin in the evenings in the summertime. And he played the double bass. We had 3 cellos. There was Tom Lake, who was the milkman, and there was Barbara Wilshire, who eventually, well, she was castled then, as before, long before she was married. She was eventually headmistress at Stondon School, and there was a Mr. Shepherd, known as Amanula, who played the cello. How, I don't know, because he'd lost fingers. And then we had the violins. Most of us were learners, but Mrs. Huckle was the leader. Mrs. Huckle lived along Priors Hill, and she was quite a skilled violinist. I should imagine she learnt to play when she was a child. And
Did you have violas as well?
pardon?
Did you have violas?
The violas were played by Mrs. Race, the vicar's wife, Mrs. Hewitt, and Miss Burling, who kept the shop next to Little Lane, a shop that sold everything that nobody else sold. Of course, she sold sweets, which were quite popular. She was rather a gruff lady in a way, but her bark was worse than her bite, and she used to make ice cream. And then we enjoyed.
Did you just play in the school, or did you play somewhere else?
We played. We did play sort of when there was village concerts. I know when we were guides, we had a little concert, and we played all through the night. Brenda and I played the violin, and my sister and two other girls did the singing. That was our turn on this little concert we got up for I suppose it was a fundraiser of some sort. Anyway, to go back to the Rural Music School, the Founders' Day of the founders of the music school had a concert once a year, and it was held in the town hall. We used to go in the afternoon for rehearsal, and then there was a break, and we went down from the town hall at the top of Brad Street to the Methodist Sunday School, just a little further down the street, where we had tea and refreshments of some sort. And then in the evening there was the concert, and the concert was always started with "Jesus Joy of Man's Desiring." Some of the skilled players, they formed a different orchestra. They played quite intricate parts. They played high standard, the wee learners, but there were always a few items that every instrument player could join in, and the concert was very well supported, and it was very popular.
Did you have famous conductors, or who conducted you?
And yes, we had conductors, and they were often invited ones. We had one year we had Adrian Bolt. He was quite a young man. It was long before he was Sir Adrian Bolt. And we had Ingeborg Holst, who was the daughter of Gustav Holst. She got very bright ginger hair. That's all I remember. And Miss Ibbotson used to conduct some pieces, and it was quite highbrow, and it was very well supported.